Exposed, after facing illness, my incredible daughter gave me 200 but the house was still mine. Jack Thompson had always been a fighter. A mechanic by day, he worked tirelessly to keep their modest home in a quaint Ohio neighborhood standing strong, ever since his father, a proud World War II veteran, had passed away. But now, in his late 40s, illness had dealt him a hard blow. Medical bills piled up like autumn leaves, threatening the very roof over his daughter Emily's head. Even on rainy days, when droplets pattered against the windowpane, unease clouded the air thicker than the storm above. At the diner where he slung burgers and poured coffee late into the night, Jack wore a smile, but inside, his heart was squeezed tight. On that gloomy Saturday morning, a surprise awaited him. Emily, bright-eyed and bubbling with energy despite her part-time job at the grocery store, rushed into the living room. In her hands was an envelope, the edges crinkled and worn from her grip. "Dad, I have something for you," she exclaimed, her voice nearly drowned out by the rain. Jack felt his stomach drop as she handed it over, a simple gesture that felt monumental. He opened it, revealing a note and crisp bills totaling 200. His heart swelled with gratitude. "Emily, this is so thoughtful." But then confusion and indignation surged. "No. I can't take charity from my own daughter. How did it come to this?" Their roles seemed reversed at that moment, and it made his blood boil. Jack's resolve twisted. He wanted to protect Emily from the weight of their reality, but it felt like her offering was a slap in the face to everything he stood for: the hard work, the self-reliance. As they stood on opposite sides, he could feel the tension crackling between them. "Dad, I just want to help," she pleaded, tears brimming in her eyes. The frustration in Jack melted into a tender pang of anguish. He didn't want to be a burden, yet here they were, both fighting a battle they couldn't win alone. Before they could unravel the knot between them, Jack found himself at a town hall meeting. The air was electric with tension, as developers, led by a suave businessman named Barry, pushed for gentrification. As Jack listened, anger surged within him. "These old homes like mine are relics of the past. We need progress." Barry's words were sharp, aimed right at Jack's pride. Emily sat beside him, her face pale, feeling the stakes rise as the expectations to sell pressed upon them. Jack's heart raced. Could he let go of the family home? The one filled with laughter, warmth, and memories of his father hanging on the wall? Emily's little hands learning to ride a bike on the front porch, late nights talking about dreams and doubts. Would he sacrifice it all for money? She gripped his hand tightly as Barry's voice rang in his ears. "Time to face the facts, Jack. This is an opportunity." In that moment, Emily turned to him, biting her lip. "Dad, what can we build together, if we lose what holds us?" The sincerity in her gaze cut deeper than any insult Barry had thrown. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Jack stood on their front porch, staring at the memories etched into the wooden boards, he felt an unexpected rush of love and pain intermingling. Maybe this wasn't just about health or money. Maybe to protect their home was to preserve the heart of their family. But with the deadline to sell looming, Jack found himself torn. Should he dig in his heels against change, or should he think about Emily's future? He had to decide when everything felt on the brink of collapse. Would he let his pride take the house along with him, or fight to keep the foundation of their lives intact? Jack stood motionless, the chill of the damp air wrapping around him like a heavy blanket. The memories of days spent with Emily, her laughter echoing through the halls, clung to the walls of their home. He had watched her grow up here, every corner sheltered moments of joy that now threatened to be washed away by the tides of change. "Dad?" Emily's voice broke through his reverie, a mix of concern and determination. Her brow furrowed as she stepped onto the porch beside him, her warmth contrasting the coolness that surrounded them. We need to talk about what Barry said. Talk? Jack echoed, his voice strained. There's nothing really to talk about. That man wants to make a quick buck off the backs of people like us. He shook his head, the words tight on his lips. The pounding rain matched the fury churning inside him. Emily exhaled deeply, her eyes shimmering like the distant street lamps. But what if this could give us a fresh start? You know we can't keep fighting this alone. I want us to be okay. He could see the worry etched on her face. The weight of responsibility hung over him like a cloud, dark and suffocating. I want that too, sweetheart, but it can't come at the cost of losing our home. His heart raced as he gestured toward the property, the grass now drenched and the flowers wilting from the storm. It felt like a metaphor for their life waterlogged and on the verge of collapse. Emily squeezed his hand, grounding him for a moment. What if we find a way to keep it? I can help more, and maybe, we can come up with a plan. Jack's heart softened at her words. He wanted her to see a fighting spirit, just like his father had shown him. Do you really think we could? With my health and the bills piling, I believe we can, she said firmly. I've seen so much determination in you, Dad. And I know you want the best for us. We can tackle this together. You don't have to carry the weight alone anymore. A tear slipped down Jack's cheek, released from the grip he had held for too long. He wasn't just her father, he was human. The reality of their situation loomed large, but the love Emily radiated pulled him closer to hope. Maybe we can start small, he said, wiping his eyes. We can check into community help or even find ways to cut back on spending. I can work a few extra shifts. Emily nodded eagerly, her face lighting up with the glimmer of possibility. Exactly. And what if I talk to some friends about a fundraiser? We can get people in the community involved. Jack felt a flicker of disbelief. Could they really spark a movement to save their home? The thought felt both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. Suddenly, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway interrupted their conversation. It was Barry, suited and all businesslike, stepping out with an air that felt insufferable. Jack's chest tightened, anger bubbling up as encounters with this man churned up memories of arrogance. You've got a decision to make, Jack. Barry called out, his voice too smug for Jack's liking. Time is running out. Jack took a deep breath, feeling a surge of determination rising within him. You can count on that, Barry. We're still deciding what matters more than money. As Jack felt Emily's hand grip his tighter, he recognized that this fight wasn't just about the house. It was about family, legacy, and the strength to stand up against those who would sweep them aside without a second glance. With a fire igniting in his heart, he turned to Emily, a newfound resolution transforming his gaze. Let us show him that we're not going anywhere. But as courage surged, another thought crept in. Was he truly ready to battle for what mattered most? Would they be able to take on everything that lay ahead without losing themselves to the struggle? As the rain began to lighten, Jack stared at their home, the flicker of hope battling with the shadows of doubt. What lay ahead would be hard, but perhaps they had what it took to fight for their future. Jack watched as Barry approached, his polished shoes crunching on the gravel. The man was all smiles, spreading a false charm that somehow felt more like a mask. Jack stood firm, the adrenaline from their earlier conversation pulsing through his veins. Did you even consider my offer? Barry's voice dripped with feigned concern. It could be the best thing for you, Jack. Best for who? Jack shot back, his frustration peaking. You? I'll take my chances elsewhere. Emily shifted beside her father, her fingers still entwined with his. We're exploring our options, Barry. There's more to us than just a sale. Barry smirked, looking at Emily like an adult sizing up a naive child. You're young, sweetheart. It's easy to get swept up in ideals. But this is reality. You should prepare for hard times ahead. Jack opened his mouth to retort, but Emily spoke first. We are aware of reality, sir. And we are prepared to fight. For a moment, the air felt electric. Jack could see the fire in Emily's eyes, her determination unyielding. That feeling should have filled him with pride, but a pang of anxiety twitched at the back of his mind. They were armed with hope, but hope didn't necessarily translate to practical solutions. Fundraiser. Jack blurted out, almost as if the word was a lifeline thrown into a turbulent sea. Dad? Emily looked at him with a mix of surprise and excitement. We'll reach out to our neighbors, reconnect with the community. They've grown distant. A fundraiser could rekindle that spirit. Barry scoffed. Good luck with that. What do you think? A bake sale? Jack clenched his fists, resisting the urge to charge at him. We might surprise you. Barry's expression shifted. He could sense the budding determination rising from father and daughter. Sure, do what you want. But you'll realize soon enough that it's just a waste of time. I would be happy to present you an even better offer once you fail. With a final sneer, he stepped back and climbed into his car, leaving them engulfed in the aftermath of his arrogance. The tension weighing on Jack felt heavy but charged with possibility. Emily, he said, turning toward her. If we do this, we need a plan. I'm ready, Dad. We can brainstorm ideas tonight. Her enthusiasm ignited a flicker of warmth in Jack's chest. As they retreated into the house, the soothing remnants of rain began to sprinkle the roof. Inside, they gathered around the kitchen table, a battered old oak where countless family meals had taken place. Jack felt the familiar comfort the table brought, a perfect place for hope and dreams to be reborn. What if we have merchandise or local businesses donate? Emily suggested, her eyes bright. We could even have a small carnival. Food stalls, games, all of that. Jack chuckled, picturing the scene. A carnival, huh? I'd love to win a giant stuffed bear. Or a goldfish. She added, laughter bubbling up as they began to sketch out ideas, every positive thought building upon the last. It felt good to dream together, but with each idea came a growing realization of the risks they had to face. Jack's heart sank momentarily as he weighed their limited time and resources. Were their ideas enough to shift their fate? As the night wore on, their plans took root, the hope intertwining with doubt like vines growing from a crack in the sidewalk. They would put everything they had into this, but the stakes felt higher than just winning cash for repairs. This was about their unity and their very essence as a family. After drafting a list of goals and steps, Jack paused. If we pull this off, we could show everyone what we're capable of. But what if we don't? Emily's bright spirit dimmed for just a moment. Jack reached out, squeezing her hand. Even then, we will know that we fought together. That matters more than anything. Their gazes locked, understanding the unspoken connection among them. And with everything else, a new weight settled in Jack's chest, the truth that he would need to grapple with his health as they fought this battle together. That evening, as they tucked into bed, the world outside gradually melted into silence. Jack felt exhaustion wash over him, but beneath it, a stubborn ember persisted. Tomorrow would be hard, and the work ahead daunting. But together, they'd face whatever came next. Could their small flicker of hope turn into a roaring flame? Or would the shadows of uncertainty dim their fight before it even began? The next morning, sunlight poured through the kitchen window, casting warm rays across the table where empty coffee cups and crumpled notepads lay scattered. Jack ran a hand through his hair, still feeling the heaviness of yesterday's encounter with Barry. The thought of asking for help made his palms sweat, but today was about action. Emily bounced into the room, her ponytail swinging like a flag. Did you sleep at all? She asked with a grin, one hand wrapped around a stack of flyers they had printed late the previous night. Not a wink, he admitted, forcing a smile back. But that just means I'm ready to dive in. They spread out the flyers across the table, their plans branching out like a series of colorful threads woven together. So, who do we start with? Emily asked, her excitement palpable. Jack pointed to a local coffee shop, a cozy haven in their community. Let us hit up Millie. She's always been supportive. If she's on board, we can use her space for a kickoff meeting. With a plan in place, they grabbed their coats and stepped into the brisk morning air. The chill nipped at them, but the rising sun pushed against the horizon, urging life into the town. As they walked, Jack looked over at Emily. "You really believe we can pull this off, don't you?" "Of course. We just need to show everyone what we're about," she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with confidence. Their footsteps echoed down the sidewalk as they approached Millie's place. The smell of brewing coffee filled the air, pulling them in like moths to a flame. When they entered, a familiar jingle sounded as the door swung open. Millie stood behind the counter, her apron dusted with flour from the morning's work. "Jack." "Emily. What brings you here this early?" she called, her warm smile like a burst of sunshine. "Hi, Millie," Emily chirped. "We have a big idea we want to talk to you about." Jack launched into their vision, each word fueled by the growing fire inside him, but he also felt the knot of fear tie tighter in his stomach. What if it failed? He glanced at Emily, who was nodding eagerly, already seeing dreams come alive in their community. Millie listened intently, her brow furrowed in thought. "A fundraiser? You kids really want to take that on?" "Yes," Emily exclaimed, as if her enthusiasm could convince anyone. "I'll help," Millie said with an easy smile. "I can donate coffee and pastries for the event, and maybe we could set up a donation jar by the register." "Really? That would be amazing." Emily jumped up and down, her happiness infectious. Jack felt his shoulders ease just a little. They could really do this. As they planned, a few other regulars in the cafe began to listen in. It wasn't long before others pitched in ideas, offering goods, volunteering time, bringing their talents to help. The atmosphere shifted, blossoming with possibilities, just like the flowers starting to peek through the thawing ground outside. When they left Millie's cafe, Jack's heart swelled as he held a small stack of business cards and hopeful plans that now included others. "See?" Emily said, beaming. "People want to help." "Yeah, they really do," he replied, feeling lighter, but inside, he couldn't shake a nagging worry. How much help would they really get? And what if it fell short? As they headed home, a sudden flurry of emotions washed over him. Could their small initiative really shift the tides? It felt risky, unsteady, but as Emily's laughter filled the space between them, he felt a flicker of hope light up again. Once inside, Jack's phone buzzed. He glanced down and saw it was Barry trying to reach him. A heavy weight settled in his stomach once more. Should he answer, knowing it might ruin their good momentum? But perhaps it was time to confront the shadows head-on. What would Barry want now? And would Jack find the courage to stand firm once more? Jack took a deep breath, the phone buzzing like a relentless fly. He hesitated, his thumb hovering over the screen. Emily was still buzzing with excitement, unaware of the internal storm churning within him. He couldn't let Barry ruin this moment. "Hey, Emily," Jack said, pulling his gaze from the screen to her bright eyes. "Can you give me a minute?" "Sure. I'll grab us some snacks," she chirped, darting toward the kitchen. Jack watched her go, her energy a stark contrast to the weight of his uncertainty. He tapped the screen, heart racing as he pressed the button to answer. "Jack." Barry's voice crackled on the line, sharp and unwelcome. "I need to talk to you. Hey, Barry." Jack's voice felt like sandpaper against his throat. "What is going on?" "I heard what you're planning," Barry said, a hint of judgment creeping into his tone. "You really think you can just waltz in and change things around here? You don't know what you're getting into." Jack's irritation flared. "What do you mean?" "We're just trying to help. The community needs this. Listen, you don't know the half of it. You think people are on your side, but when it comes down to it," Barry's voice trailed off, filled with a kind of bitterness that sent a chill through Jack. "You're in way over your head." Jack clenched his fists, frustration boiling over. "You don't get to decide that for me. We're making changes, and I have support. Emily and I aren't doing this alone." There was silence on the other end, and for a moment, Jack thought he might have rattled him. But then Barry sighed, a sound heavy with defeat. "Just watch your back, all right? People can surprise you." "I'm not afraid of surprises, Barry." Jack hung up, shaking with a mix of anger and determination. He wouldn't let Barry's doubt taint this moment. When he stepped into the kitchen, Emily was already munching on a handful of chips, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," Jack said, forcing a smile. "Just an old friend being a pain." "Forget him," Emily said, tossing her curls defiantly. "We've got a mission." "Who's next on our list?" Caught in her enthusiasm, Jack nodded. "Let us hit up a few stores and see who wants to contribute. We need more on board if we want to make this work." They mapped out their next stops, visiting local shops and community centers, a feeling of camaraderie growing with each conversation. Shopkeepers and neighbors shared their thoughts, laughter mingling with plans. Each yes was a small victory, lifting Jack's spirits further, propelling them toward their goal. Yet, even surrounded by kindness, Jack couldn't shake the words Barry left hanging in the air. What if they weren't enough? What if help didn't come when they needed it most? As they returned home, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows down the street. Jack's heart pounded, a rhythmic reminder of his commitment to this cause, to Emily's unwavering hope. It was a fragile balance, but he felt it slipping, uncertainty creeping in like winter's last chill. "Jack," Emily said suddenly, stopping in the doorway. "Do you think it'll work? Really work?" He searched her eyes, the spark of determination, fear, and unyielding faith all tangled together. "I hope so," he replied, honesty tinged with a hint of dread. But hope alone wouldn't be enough to face what lay ahead both in their plans and in the shadows Barry had hinted at. As night wrapped around them, Jack felt the walls of uncertainty pressing in, sending shivers through his soul. The phone buzzed again, and Jack hesitated before picking it up, knowing that the real challenge might just be beginning. What awaited him on the other side? Jack steadied himself, taking a breath as his thumb hovered over the screen. The familiar name glared at him in bold letters, Barry. He bit the inside of his cheek, knowing whatever news waited on the other end was unlikely to be good. "Hello?" he said, gritting his teeth. "Didn't think you'd pick up," Barry's voice came through, dripping with condescension. "Got your little community project underway, I see." "Yeah, we do," Jack replied, his patience wearing thin. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand what you're getting involved in. This isn't just about a few donations. There are real stakes here." Jack could hear the smirk in Barry's tone. "People will fight back if they don't like the way you're disrupting things." Jack felt a tight knot forming in his stomach. "I'm not disrupting anything. We're trying to make things better for everyone." "Better for you, maybe," Barry said. Jack could almost hear the shrug in his voice. "Just don't be surprised when your so-called allies turn on you. They've been loyal to me for years." Jack clenched his jaw. He didn't have the energy for this. "I have Emily. I have the people we talked to today. They want change. Good luck with that." The call ended abruptly, and Jack was left staring at the screen, heart racing. Doubt wormed its way into his mind. "Jack." Emily was back, a bowl of popcorn in her hands. She peered up at him, sensing the shift in the air. "You okay? You look tense." "Just a little pushback from Barry," he admitted, forcing a smile. "He's just trying to scare me." "Forget him. You've got this." Emily's optimism shone through, her bright spirit lifting his mood slightly. "You believe in what you're doing, and that's what matters." As they sat together, he tried to focus on the plans, the clips of excitement from their earlier store visits, and the generous smiles from people who shared their thoughts. Each yes was a reminder of the community's heartbeat, but the weight of Barry's words lingered. "Okay, what's next?" she asked, her excitement palpable. Jack hesitated. "We need a bigger gathering. Let us set a time for a meeting, maybe at the community center. We can present our ideas and get more people involved." Emily nodded, her eyes gleaming. "Great idea. We can make flyers and maybe even knock on doors. Everyone should hear about how we're going to bring some life back into this place." A thought flashed through Jack's mind like lightning. What if we invite Barry? Give him the chance to voice his opinions? Emily frowned, a look he recognized all too well. Why would you want to do that? Because it might be a good way to show the community that we're open. We're not afraid of differing views. But does he really care about helping? It feels like he's just trying to hold you back. Jack sighed, knowing she might be right. Maybe. Still, I'd rather not be seen as someone who avoids conflict. I want them to know we're committed to this. As they plotted the meeting details, Jack's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen. It was a message from Barry. We need to talk. Meet me at the diner tomorrow at 10. Jack's heart sank. This could either be a chance to clear the air or a trap. He had to decide if he was willing to confront Barry head-on. Emily, he said slowly, I might have to meet him. Are you sure that's a good idea? She asked, worry spilling into her voice. Yeah, but I need you to promise me something. No matter what happens, we stick together, right? Of course. She exclaimed, her loyalty unwavering. Jack took a deep breath, feeling slightly steadied by her faith in him. He needed that determination now more than ever. As they parted for bed, Jack's mind raced. He felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Could he really pull off this mission? Would he be able to face Barry without losing everything? Tomorrow would reveal a lot if he could muster the courage to follow through. The night deepened around him, but uncertainty still gnawed at his spirit. Would his belief in this project withstand whatever Barry had planned? Jack sat on the edge of his bed, the soft glow of the digital clock counting down the minutes until morning. Each tick echoed in the stillness of the room, amplifying his unease. The diner was just a few blocks away, but it felt like a world apart, laden with expectations and uncertainties. The air was thick with unspoken words and unfulfilled promises that he tossed and turned for what felt like hours, debating every angle of this meeting with Barry. The man had swaggered through Jack's life like a storm, leaving chaos in his wake. Glancing at his phone, he contemplated if Barry had sent another message. Nothing had changed, the screen remained dark. He pushed the phone aside, trying to close his eyes and envision the community center filled with familiar faces, people who believed in change. Morning light crept through the curtains, casting stripes across the floor. Jack rubbed his eyes and stood, taking a moment to shake off the heaviness in his chest. He threw on a faded flannel shirt, the one Emily always said suited him best. Maybe today was the day to hold on to all that hope, to let it rise up against whatever Barry had planned. As Jack made his way to the diner, his thoughts tumbled over one another. He replayed Emily's words, reminding him how important his mission was. What would it take to stand up against Barry? To make sure he was showing his true commitment to the community and himself? He couldn't let Barry's poison cloud his vision. The bell above the door jingled as he entered the diner. The smell of freshly brewed coffee and greasy breakfasts hung in the air. His stomach fluttered, not from hunger, but from apprehension. Barry was already seated in a booth at the back, casually sipping coffee while scrolling through his phone. The smug look on his face felt like a challenge, and Jack had the sudden urge to turn and walk out. Jack, Barry said, not bothering to put his phone away. Glad you could make it. Let's get straight to it, Jack replied tersely, sliding into the booth across from him. What do you want? Barry leaned back, arms crossed. You know, it's not what I want, it's about what you need to understand before you go any further. You're about to step into a mess. Maybe that's true, Jack said. But I'm willing to deal with whatever it is. I owe it to the people who believe in this project. Barry raised an eyebrow, almost impressed. Oh, really? And what makes you think they'll be loyal to you when things get tough? Jack squared his shoulders, the doubt Barry was trying to plant itching at his skin. Because I care about them. I'm fighting for change, and they see that. Fighting, huh? You might want to choose your battles wisely. Relationships in our little community don't change overnight. I've got connections. Good luck breaking a few years of loyalty for some fleeting idealism. Every harsh word threatened to pierce Jack's resolve, and he fought to hold on to his composure. Maybe I won't need to break anything. Maybe the community is ready for something new. Barry leaned forward, his gaze sharp. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly naive. Just remember, I will be watching. Jack felt the heat rising in his chest, anger surging up like a storm. I won't be intimidated. The people are tired of fear. I'm done following the old way. This is my path now. The silence stretched, electric tension filling the air between them. Barry studied Jack for a moment, then smirked slightly, something calculating behind his eyes. Good luck with that, he finally said. You'll need it more than you know. As Jack left the diner, his heart pounded with a mix of confrontation and clarity. Something shifted within him, a flicker of determination igniting in the depths of his spirit. Could this really be the path toward change, or was he stumbling into a trap? The day was just beginning, and it seemed poised for more than he had ever bargained for. Jack took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. He needed to share the truth of what was happening. As he headed home, he felt the urge to rally together everyone who believed in this fight. He knew he couldn't do this alone. As he reached for his phone, a new message lit up the screen, but he hesitated. It wasn't just another update, it was an invite to an upcoming community event. Would it spiral out of control or build a bridge to unity? Only one way to find out. As Jack stood on his porch, the morning sun kissed the neighborhood with warmth. The invitation glowed bright on his phone, pulling him away from the remnants of his meeting with Barry. A community event, a chance to gather people who felt just as he did. But even as excitement bubbled within him, a weight pressed on his chest. What if they weren't ready? What if he was the only one who believed they could make a change? He took a moment to breathe deeply, letting the quiet hum of the morning settle his racing thoughts. Jack's eyes swept over the street, the familiar homes filled with the lives of neighbors he cared for, families who groaned together, laughed together, and mourned together. Every face held a story, a longing for something better. With sudden purpose, he swiped at the screen, accepted the invitation, and began formulating his speech. He envisioned the room at the community center buzzing with chatter, filled with the hope and engagement that could create ripples of change. But what if Barry's shadow hung over their heads, an unrelenting reminder of the status quo? Could fear of him stifle the hope of many? He knew he had to push through the doubt. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the end of the street. It was Paula, the spirited woman who ran the local bookshop. She waved enthusiastically, her contagious smile brightening the morning. As she approached, Jack felt a flicker of encouragement. She had always been a beacon of support for him. "Hey, Jack," she called out, her voice like a burst of sunshine. "I heard about the community event. Can I count on you to lead some kind of discussion?" "Yes. Absolutely," Jack said, feeling her excitement pulling him in. "I'm actually working on a way to inspire everyone to share their thoughts." Paula nodded, her brow furrowing with concern. "Just be careful, Barry's not one to back down easily. If you step on his toes, who knows what might happen." "I know," Jack said, forcing a smile. "But we can't keep living in fear. People deserve to know they have a voice." "Then consider me in your corner," she said resolutely. "You have my support, whatever you decide." As they talked about their plans, Jack's confidence grew. Their ideas bounced back and forth, lighting up the dull edges of uncertainty. He began to envision a gathering where everyone could speak candidly, unearthing their hopes and grievances. It was an invitation to shed fear and reclaim their community. The sun climbed higher, and joy was creeping back into his heart. They both agreed that stories of struggle and triumph needed to resonate through the community. It was these shared experiences that could unite them against any threat. When they parted ways, Jack felt the heaviness lift just a little. As he began to jot down thoughts for his speech, another message lit up his screen, causing his heart to race. This one was from Karen, an old friend who had recently distanced herself from the scene. His fingers hovered uncertainly above the screen, torn between hope and apprehension. Jack hesitated, considering the possibility of their connection sparking new beginnings, only to be weighed down by old wounds. He took a deep breath. The words she had shared with him long ago echoed in his mind. We all deserve to reclaim our stories. He pressed his thumb against the message, remembering that stepping back into her world might bring him some clarity but also open doors he wasn't ready to handle. What would Karen have to say? Would her voice ignite the fire within, or would it douse the flames before they could ignite a movement? With that lingering uncertainty, he clicked to open the message, ready to face whatever truth awaited him. The words on the screen took his breath away. Karen had reached out, but not without hesitation. Jack, I heard about the community event you're starting. I've been following your journey from a distance. I want to talk, but I'm scared. Can we meet? His heart raced, caught between excitement and fear. The warmth from his earlier conversation with Paula now felt overshadowed by doubt. What had been a moment of hope turned heavy with the weight of memories, hard conversations, lost connections, and the sublime yearning to reconcile with the past. Jack stared at the message, letting it sink in. This was his chance to reconnect, perhaps even find healing. But what would they talk about? Would Karen bring back memories he wasn't ready to face? He rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly aware of the tension there. Pulling himself together, he typed back. Sure, let us meet. How about at the cafe on Maple? Tomorrow at 10? Almost instantly, her reply popped up. That sounds perfect. I'll see you then. Jack sighed deeply, a mix of relief and anxiety flooding through him. Meeting Karen would mean digging up old emotions, but if they could work through that, it might help him move forward not just with her but with his own plans to bring the community together. As he prepared for the next day, Jack turned his thoughts back to the meeting. He needed to focus. They were counting on him. With renewed determination, he crafted his speech while jotting down reminders to include anecdotes that showcased stories of resilience. The sun dipped lower in the sky as he typed, its fading light spilling onto his cluttered kitchen table, illuminating the crumpled notes scattered around. He envisioned faces of the community members, his neighbors, showing up, unsure yet hopeful, each with their burdens to share. The thought thrilled him, igniting a fire in his belly. Later that night, as he finally turned off his computer, Jack felt a flutter of nervous energy. This would work. He could feel it. But just as quickly, a doubt crept in. What if they outright rejected him? What if their fears held them back? As he lay in bed, he replayed past moments when he'd been scared to voice his truth. The memory made his stomach knot. He had to push through. If he could be vulnerable, they could too. The need to reclaim their stories outweighed the fear of being silenced. Morning arrived, and with it came the sticky summer heat. Jack padded into the kitchen, brewing his coffee, eyes wandering to a picture of him and Karen from better times, a reminder of the bond they once had. He decided to reach out one more time, sending her a quick message to confirm their meeting. I'm looking forward to our talk. Let us make the past part of our present, he wrote. It felt right. Their lives intertwined long ago, it was worth the effort to reconnect. As he stepped outside to grab the newspaper, a sense of anticipation settled over him. The community event loomed just a few days away, but first came this meeting. Would Karen's voice fill in the gaps, or would old wounds cut deeper? The weight of uncertainty was there, but there was a spark of hope flickering within him as well. As the door clicked shut behind him, his phone buzzed in his pocket, a new message. He fished it out, heart pounding. Jack read the name that flashed on the screen and felt a shiver run through him. Would it be Barry again, trying to remind him who really held the power? What he saw next made him question everything once more. Would this change the course of his plans or shatter his ambitions before they had the chance to lift off? Jack's heart raced as he stared at the message, the world around him fading into a blur. It was from Barry. The words on the screen felt like a cold wave crashing over his spirit, threatening to pull him under. Jack, I hope you're ready to face the consequences of your actions. I suggest you reconsider your little community event. I'll be waiting. The weight of Barry's threat settled heavily on Jack's chest, but it couldn't extinguish the flicker of hope that had been igniting within him for days. He thought about Emily, her vibrant spirit, and the community rallying behind them. They had come too far to back down now. He couldn't let fear dictate his life, nor Emily's. As he stepped out into the warmth of the summer day, a wave of determination washed over him. Today he had to meet Karen. It was a moment of truth, both for their friendship and his resolve to stand against Barry's intimidation. The cafe on Maple was charming, with flowers lining the entrance and the aroma of fresh pastries mingling with the scent of brewing coffee. Jack arrived early, nerves bubbling beneath the surface. The thought of seeing Karen made his heart race. What would she say? When she walked in, it was as if the sun had burst through the clouds. Karen had always had that way about her, bringing warmth to the frigid moments. She spotted Jack, hesitated for a fraction of a second, then approached with a smile that begged to bridge the gap of lost years. "Hey, Jack," she said, sitting down at the table that had once been their meeting place, a haven for laughter and honest conversations. "Hey, Karen." His voice was steadier than he felt. They exchanged small talk for a while, easing into the conversation. He was surprised by how comfortable it felt, yet a lingering tension was underneath, rooted in unfinished business. "Jack, I've been following your plans for the community event," Karen said, her tone shifting to something more serious. "I want to help. I believe in what you're doing." His heart soared, but he hesitated. What if things get messy? Barry's not going to just stand by. She leaned in, her eyes fierce with determination. "That's why we need to do this together. We can't let fear win. You've got a fire lit inside you, and I want to match that fire with my own. Together, we can build something they can't tear down." Jack felt a swell of hope, remembering all the dreams they'd shared back when the world felt brighter. "All right, let us make this happen," he said, his voice stronger now. "We can bring everyone together. We'll show Barry that our community is worth fighting for. That we matter." As they brainstormed ways to mobilize support, Jack felt a rush of excitement. Ideas flowed, stories were shared, and amidst the momentum, Jack's phone buzzed again. It was a reminder that the battle wasn't just within, it was out in the open, calling him to act. Days passed as the community event drew closer. Jack, Emily, and Karen had thrown everything into it, a complete transformation from fear into connection. They painted banners, organized games, and prepared the stories of the neighbors who had suffered but held fast to hope. Each meeting became an exercise in resilience. The day arrived, draped in sunlight and laughter. Folks from all around the neighborhood gathered at the community center, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. Jack stood in front of the crowd, feeling the weight of every gaze upon him. He glimpsed Emily's encouraging smile in the back, and his heart swelled. This was the chance to honor the legacy of their home and declare their purpose. "Thank you all for being here," Jack started, trying to steady his voice. "What we fight for isn't just bricks and mortar, it's love, support, and our shared experiences. We can build a community where everyone matters." Cheers erupted, and Jack felt a rush of unity that made fear seeping through his veins fade away. The stories began to flow, people standing up to share their struggles, triumphs, and the dreams they held. With every voice, walls crumbled. They weren't just stories, they were bonds being forged anew. Hours passed, and as the sun dipped low, Jack felt a touch of magic in the air. It was more than just a fundraiser, it was the rebirth of hope for the community, firing everyone to rise against Barry's hold. Suddenly, through the raucous laughter and chatter, he noticed Barry standing at the edge of the crowd. His expression was one of disbelief, anger simmering beneath the surface. Jack locked eyes with him. This was not the end, but merely the beginning. As the event wrapped up, Jack smiled at Emily, who rushed over, gleaming with pride. "We did it, Dad. This is just the start." "Yes, it is," he replied, feeling overwhelming gratitude for her spirit and perseverance. From that day forward, they knew nothing would come easy. The fight was far from over, but together they were ready to face whatever challenges emerged. Love conquered fear, unity overpowered doubt, and for Jack and Emily, this was their fairy tale moment, marked by courage shining through the cracks, and as they continued to build upon this foundation of togetherness, they were reminded of a truth carved deeply into every moment they shared. Home was not merely a place, it was the heart they brought to it together. And now, don't let this moment fade. You need to subscribe now for more incredible stories we'll share. This is the moment to show your support for the journey ahead. Leave a like now to help us feed the algorithm. Tell us your thoughts in the comments. How did this transformation touch you? And remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey firsthand. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love.